Welcome to Chronic Conversations, the podcast that brings a voice to the stories behind chronic symptoms. I'm your host, Catherine Rose, certified integrative health practitioner, founder of ThriveWell, and soon to be published author. After years of battling unexplained symptoms and finally getting a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, I turned my pain into purpose. Now I help women just like you feel seen, heard, and validated while uncovering the root causes of symptoms and helping to create lasting wellness. Each week, I'll share insights from my own journey, some proven strategies that I use with clients, and conversations with fellow experts and warriors. You're not alone, and you can thrive. Now let's get into today's conversation. Hi, friends, and welcome back to Chronic Conversations. I am your host, Catherine Rose, and I'm really excited about today's topic. It is all things cycle syncing and pretty much what to do in your life based on all things cycle syncing and what to do with nutrition, your workouts, your mindset, activities, planning, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, what to do with all those things during each phase of your cycle. So, if you've ever felt like your energy is just all over the place from week to week, your cravings change, you feel really lethargic sometimes, you've got a lot of energy during other cycles. If you're aware of all those things, this episode is going to be a game changer. If you incorporate these things that I talk about in this episode, it will change your life. No joke. So today I'm walking you through how to sync your nutrition, your movement, your mindset, and other things with your monthly cycle. And so get your pen and paper ready or open your notes app on your phone because what I'm about to share, again, will change your life. And if you're nodding along thinking, yes, this is me, then be sure to go to the show notes at the end of this episode and download my free gluten-free, dairy-free cycle syncing meal plan. So it includes all the foods that you should be eating to help with all the symptoms, to help you really live your best life throughout each cycle with these foods. It's really been helpful to me. It's been helpful to a lot of people that I know, and I'm giving it away for free. So go check that out at the end. I think that is it for that. So let's dive in to our cycles. So I like to start with day one. For those of us that do track our cycles and things like that. So, but for people that don't, which is totally fine, day one in your cycle is the day that you actually start your period. So we're going to start with the menstrual phase, which is the time that you have your period. So in cycle terms, it's days 1 through 7, or ballpark 1 through 7, however long your period is. Some people have it for 3 days, some people have it for 5, 7. Everybody's different, but no one way is right or wrong. But just for keeping things simple, I'm going to say days 1 through 7. And okay, the menstrual phase, think about it as our internal winter. It's a time to rest and reflect and repair. It's kind of like your body's reset button, right? So the hormones estrogen and progesterone, they're at their lowest at this time. So that's why your energy dips and your brain just feels foggy and off. I can feel that feeling like right now, even though I'm not in that part of my cycle. And this is really interesting. In my research I was doing for this podcast episode, I didn't know this, but your brain's left and right hemispheres actually communicate more efficiently during menstruation. So it makes it a really powerful time for reflection and clarity and really intuitive decision making. So I'm hoping, at least for myself and for those of you listening that even though most of us feel kind of crappy during this phase, that we can in some ways look forward to it each month as a time to rest and reflect and not beat ourselves up or feel lazy for slowing down. It's kind of what our bodies were made to do during this time. So, here are the ways in which we should support our body during the menstrual phase. So, I'd said before, rest and reflect. It's not a weakness, okay? This is what our bodies were made to do during this time. Your body is shedding its uterine lining, okay? So that's an inflammatory process, which is also another reason why we feel swollen and all kinds of attractiveness during this time. But shedding that lining, it uses a surprising amount of energy from our body. So that's another reason why we feel a little more sluggish during that time. And it's normal to feel withdrawn. So journaling and evaluating your goals during this time can bring more clarity than during this time than so journaling and evaluating your goals during this time can bring a lot more clarity since your hormones are lower compared to doing it compared to journaling and evaluating goals when your hormones are riding high and at their peak. So I thought that was interesting. Movement. Make sure you move gently. Your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, your cortisol levels are naturally higher during this phase, during the menstrual phase. So high intensity workouts can spike it even more and lead to burnout. So, as much as you might want to and stay consistent with whatever your hardcore workout routine is, try to take it down a notch. Even just try yoga, stretching, walking, not like Energizer bunny, like speed walking, just casual walking. Still move your body, but don't overdo it. And as for food, you want to try eating warm, grounding foods. So, menstruation, it lowers your core temperature. So, that's why it's recommended that you eat warm meals like soups, stews, and root veggies that help regulate body heat and ease cramps by relaxing uterine muscles. I think that's fascinating. Just by eating some root veggies and foods and things we want to prioritize during this time are iron, because most of us lose a good amount of iron during this time, and zinc and magnesium. So we lose anywhere from 30 to 50 milligrams of iron per cycle. So for that reason, we want to focus on iron-rich foods like beets and kale are two really good iron-rich foods. And we also want to pair them with vitamin C to help boost absorption of those. And then lastly, for this cycle, I'll talk about seed cycling in each one. So for menstrual cycle, we want to make sure we're consuming a tablespoon of flax and a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds every day. And that helps support gentle estrogen rise or increase while providing omegas. Like we want to make sure we are consuming 1 tablespoon of flax and 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds every day because this helps support the gentle increase of estrogen while providing omega-3s that reduce prostaglandins. Okay, take that part out. While providing omega-3s that help reduce the compounds that cause cramps. I mean, isn't that amazing that food can help do that instead of, you know, downing half a bottle of Advil for cramps or whatever some people take? Try it. It's pretty fascinating and amazing. And a fun fact, your pain threshold is lowest during this time. So if you're feeling extra sensitive, it's not just in your head. It's a real thing. Okay, the next phase is your follicular phase. And those are days, remember, ballpark. Not everybody's going to be the exact same. Days 6 through 14, ballpark. So picture this phase as like your internal spring for creativity, clarity, growth. Yeah, all things you think of for spring. So during this time, your estrogen, it's steadily rising, and so is your confidence. So that's always a good feeling. And estrogen boosts serotonin and dopamine, which are your motivation and reward chemicals. So it's easier to feel like hopeful and energized in this phase. Okay, so how do you support yourself in this phase? The most and to operate optimally. This is kind of your like brainstorm and planning phase. It's an excellent time to do those things. Brain scans actually show increased connectivity in areas tied to creativity and strategic thinking. So this is your best window for starting new projects or mapping out goals, things like that. And as for movement and exercise, think strength training and muscle building. So I thought this was also really neat. Estrogen actually has a protective effect on muscle tissue and joints. So that makes it a prime time to increase intensity in your workouts without risking injury or increasing the risk of injury. And as for nutrition, you want to eat lighter, cleaner foods. Think like smoothies, sauteed greens, and plant-based meals. Your digestion is strong during this phase, and your body is better at handling carbs and insulin sensitivity. So it's a great time for fiber and phytoestrogens, which are plant-based compounds that have estrogen-like effects on the body. So some of those foods that are a good idea to consume are artichokes, broccoli, carrots, and citrus fruits actually help metabolize estrogen efficiently, which helps reduce PMS symptoms later. Amazing. And let's see. With the seed cycling, we haven't done much cycling because we are still going to consume flax, tablespoon of flax, tablespoon of pumpkin seeds every day to again support your estrogen as it continues to climb. And I like these fun facts that I've included at the end of every phase. You're actually more resilient to stress in this phase, in the follicular phase, and your memory improves. So this is not the week to hold back, okay? Now, I think for this next phase, in some ways, we all wish that it lasted longer than 1 to 3 days. But this is our ovulation period or ovulation phase. I've got it at days 13 to 14, somewhere in that area. And we can think of it as our internal summer. So we've got peak energy, peak confidence. We are feeling like Superwoman at this time. So our estrogen peaks, our testosterone, it surges, and your body is biologically primed for connection and attraction. Even if you're not trying to conceive, it's just the way our bodies work. And you'll likely most feel like yourself during this phase, like outgoing, energized, magnetic. And again, it's your Superwoman phase, not just yours, ours, however you want to put it. So during this phase, what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on leveraging our energy and leveraging our confidence. So more brain studies. Brain studies show communication skills peak here. You're more persuasive, you're socially attuned and assertive. So it's ideal for pitching ideas, for networking, initiating hard conversations, speaking engagements, things like that, things that you want and need a boatload of confidence for. Do it and schedule it during this time, this phase. And okay, so for workouts, you're going to feel, since we feel so good during this phase, we're going to feel like we can just crush a hard workout, but you want to keep it moderate. And this is why. So you may feel like pushing hard, but estrogen, again, it affects ligaments and makes joints more vulnerable to energy. So the estrogen, even though it's at its peak, it's soon going to start to fall. So I would recommend just sticking more to strength training workouts over any like high impact plyometric jumping moves. Another thing that's important during this phase, you really want to support detoxification because the liver stays really busy trying to metabolize excess estrogen. So to help it out, we want to increase fiber-rich foods, cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, things like that, and lots of water. So something to note here, if your liver isn't working properly, it's one of your biggest, you have a lot of detox organs, but the liver is one of your hardest working detox organs and one of the most important. And if it's not functioning properly, it cannot filter out the estrogen that goes down through your colon and out your body properly. So any excess estrogen needs to leave our body, needs to exit because we don't need it. But if our liver isn't working properly, if we're constipated, we're not pooping every day, things like that, this estrogen, excess estrogen gets recirculated throughout the body and causes all sorts of hormonal imbalance issues. And a lot of us really struggle with it, but not many doctors or practitioners really point it out. But it can really make us feel pretty terrible, but we blame it on other things. But a lot of times it's either excess estrogen recirculating throughout the body, or just toxins in general that aren't exiting the body that need to, that are actually getting recirculated throughout the body and making us feel pretty terrible. So detox is important, but also opening the detox pathways. That's first and foremost important. And then getting your liver working properly. Okay. So more of the best foods to consume during this time, asparagus. It's a good detoxer. It's a bit of a diuretic. Berries and spinach and chard. So these help flush estrogen and prevent estrogen dominance, which can lead to like estrogen dominance. Why a big reason why a lot of us have those PMS symptoms, like, well, weight gain. A lot of times it's water weight. Our fat cells are holding on to toxins and they swell up. And, other cramps, breast tenderness, a lot of that is caused by estrogen dominance, which happens in a lot of ways because the excess estrogen is not leaving our bodies. There are also other causes of PMS symptoms, but that's just one of them. Now, back to seed cycling. We're still on flax and pumpkin seeds daily for ovulation phase. And listen to this. This was new to me. So in this phase, our voice pitch changes subtly. Like not many people will notice, but it changes during ovulation and you're perceived as more attractive to others. Like they may not know what it is about that person, but supposedly it's a subtle voice change. I think it's interesting and kind of funny. Now we're coming to the last phase in the podcast. So now days 15 through 28, again, ballpark, it's our luteal phase. And I think of it as our internal fall or autumn. It's a good time for grounding, completing, and releasing. And this might actually be the most misunderstood phase that we go through. So estrogen and progesterone, they rise and then they crash. PMS symptoms, bloating, and fatigue can kick in as your body like gears up to reset. So it's the longest phase, but once we get towards the end of it, that's when, we start to get those PMS symptoms, start to feel sluggish and bloated and tired and moody and all those fun things. But here's some things that you might not know. Your metabolism, it increases by 10 to 15% during this phase. Isn't that wild? So you may burn up to 300 calories more per day. That's why cravings kick in. Your body actually needs more fuel. And you know what? You want to listen to it. We need to listen to our bodies. And so here are some of the things you can do to support your body in the luteal phase, and maybe some things that you don't already know. So this is also interesting to me. I love this stuff. I could talk about it and read about it all day long. So even though you feel crappy most of the time or just not quite like yourself in this cycle, your metabolism actually increases by 10 to 15%. So you may burn up to 300 more calories a day. And that's why your cravings kick in. Your body actually needs more fuel. We need to listen to it, but not for what? The potato chips and ice cream, whatever the types of things that we crave during this time when PMS symptoms come, but more whole foods. But listen to your body and eat when and if it needs more fuel. So we want to support progesterone here. This hormone, it's calming and it helps you sleep, but it relies on enough magnesium, on enough B6, and healthy fats. And without support, it drops fast. And so does your mood. I have had low progesterone levels off and on. Another thing that can lower it is stress. Stress can plow through your progesterone. And it can, if you don't, if your progesterone's on empty or close to it, it makes you feel pretty bad. So I'm actually on hormone replacement right now for progesterone. It's compounded progesterone. And I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on hormone replacement therapy and things like that. It has been a game changer for me. It's not the only thing you need to do, but it definitely helps in the overall scheme of things, has helped me. And that's what's been best for me. Other people, it might not be. But I just wanted to share that part. During this phase, we want to eat complex carbs and warm foods. Think like roasted squash, root veggies, turkey, dark greens. These foods help stabilize blood sugar and reduce the crash that leads to irritability or anxiety. So we want to keep our blood sugar balanced, right? We don't want to get hangry on top of already being moody in the first place during this phase or during part of this phase. So movement matters also during this phase. It matters during all phases, but just remember, especially in this one, you might not want to hit like PRs, but resistance training, Pilates, and walking can help reduce PMS symptoms and inflammation. But too much intensity here can spike cortisol and worsen mood swings and just it'll wreak a little bit of havoc. So we need to try to tone it down a notch on the movement. If we're used to doing, high intensity type workouts, and if you have gone from being able to do those high intensity workouts and like boot camp style, hardcore movement and exercise, and then all of a sudden you go do that workout and you crash hard and you feel like you could sleep for 3 days, then it might be time to readjust, reevaluate the type of workout that your body needs. I've talked to so many women, chronic illness or autoimmune issues or not, they so many have come to me and said, I can't work out like I used to. I can't do, the HIIT workouts I used to do. Like it'll put me in bed for days. Same thing happened to me. And I've just had to learn. I felt like I almost lost a piece of myself because that was my kind of workout, and exercise in general was so much a part of my identity that I I mourned it a little bit almost. But I've had to learn to just adjust and be thankful I can still move my body and just can't do things like I used to, but still, I can still remain healthy. Your body, you don't need to kill it every every day, every week to get results. Most important thing during this time, if we are most of you are probably midlife, strength training. Like strength training is the key to so many things. The key to, boosting your metabolism, the key to longevity, the key to so many things. It's crazy. And I know you don't see the results immediately, but if I can hammer something home that has a little bit to do, I guess, with this topic, weight training is the most important exercise we can do for ourselves right now during this period of time and for however long we can. All right, let's go seed cycling. So we finally shift in this cycle. We're going to change seeds. We want to switch to a tablespoon of sunflower seeds and a tablespoon of sesame seeds daily. So this will naturally boost progesterone, which most of us in midlife need. Our progesterone just naturally starts to wane. I think starting really your upper 30s and on. Sunflower seeds and sesame seeds to naturally help boost progesterone, which will also help ease cramps, cravings, and breast tenderness. So when our progesterone drops, the symptoms of PMS can rise. And I could get all into those details. That's a whole nother podcast of estrogen dominance and things like that. But we want to support our progesterone in this phase. It's a really, really important part of us that we need to function in daily life. And another thing to note here too, gut health, it slows down in this phase. So that could also mean you could feel more constipated during this time. It can be quite common. So we want to support digestion with cooked fiber. Don't want to eat any raw veggies during this time. Ginger tea is helpful. Magnesium is helpful. They're all different kinds of magnesium. A good one for both sleep and bowels or constipation is magnesium citrate. I can, in the show notes, include, I make a note of the different kinds of magnesium and what each one is helpful with. It's good to know if you don't know the differences in magnesium. Some like cross the blood-brain barrier, things like that. But magnesium citrate is a good one for both sleep and bowels or constipation. So here's one more like interesting fact or whatever. Most emotional spirals during this phase are amplified by blood sugar crashes. So, not personality flaws. So, eat steady all day long. You want to eat something every 3 to 4 hours. I've said this in another episode, but you don't want to like graze throughout the day, like walk around with a bag of potato chips or anything. You want to eat a meal, small meal, containing some of the foods that we've talked about. 3 every 3 to 4 hours. It helps keep your blood sugar steady. Man, when my blood sugar crashes, it does not make me feel good. And I'm not very nice sometimes. And I don't know if y'all can relate, but blood sugar balance is important. It's important for so many things too. Weight loss, which might seem counterintuitive because, if you want to lose weight, eat less, right? No, we want to eat enough to keep your body happy, keep it moving, keep your blood sugar steady. And that's what's going to also keep your metabolism to keep firing and stay alive. If you withhold food from your body's going to go into survival mode. And when it does that, it's going to hold on to every ounce of fat that it has because it's not sure when the next meal is going to come. If it gets used to, a lower calorie consumption, then, you know, it just it turns everything upside down. So I guess my main point is we need to eat steadily 3 to 4 times a day of the right foods, and your body will do exactly what it needs to do. And so my last few thoughts or notes here are that when you start honoring the natural rhythm of your body instead of fighting against it, it's almost like competing against yourself. Or so, say we're in our menstrual phase and we're used to working out, but we don't feel up to it. We beat ourselves up. And, you know, that to me is fighting against ourselves, fighting against our bodies. So, going with and honoring the natural rhythm of our body would mean during the menstrual phase, be okay with not doing as much, knowing, in the future, in the next phase or phases, we're going to increase everything and it just continues to repeat. And I hope, and I've said this before, that for the menstrual phase that we can almost in some ways look forward to it because it's a time of rest. And knowing that every month, every time that that ovulation phase is going to come and our superwoman phase is going to come. So, you know, we get a little bit of time in each phase. We should know what's coming and we know how to prepare for it. And we now know how to best support our bodies in each phase. So I hope that you have found this helpful. I loved doing the research for it. I knew a lot of this stuff, but I also learned some things. I hope that you feel more empowered. I hope you feel less at war with your symptoms, or that you do if you incorporate some of these tips and really accept them, accept these symptoms. They're not even really symptoms, just accept the phases and work with them, and your body will work with you. Also, remember, this is really important. I want to note this. You know, I'm one of those people that like rule follower. I have to do everything to a T. Maybe I should call myself a recovering perfectionist. I don't know. I'm not so much that way anymore. I've been forced and had to just kind of let that go a little bit. But remember, you don't have to do this perfectly to feel a difference. You can start like maybe making one small change per phase. So maybe it's a warm soup during your period or swapping out your workouts around ovulation. Like the ripple effect really is powerful. So if this episode spoke to you, I hope it did in some way. Again, I've created a free gluten-free, dairy-free, cycle syncing meal plan that lays it all out for you. Snacks, meals, and tips to help you feel your best every week, every phase. Just click the link in the show notes and it will take you right to it. And a reminder, you don't have to feel out of control in your own body. And you're not crazy for noticing these shifts. Your body really is speaking, communicating. So let's start listening, okay? I'm also talking to myself with this as well. So until next time, I hope you stay well and keep thriving. Bye, friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Chronic Conversations. I hope you're walking away with a little more clarity, hope, and inspiration for your healing journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Every share helps this show reach more women who deserve to feel seen, heard, and validated. And if we're not connected yet, come say hi on Instagram. I'm at Call Me Catherine Rose. Plus, you can check out free tools and resources for your wellness journey anytime at callmekatherinerose.com. And until next time, take care. And here's to thriving well, no matter where you are on your journey.